Alright, this isn't actually a new video per se, it's a re-edit of one of my first YouTube videos. If you've been subscribed for a while, you're probably familiar with this guitar. It was the first video I narrated and became kind of a template for all my videos since, so I wanted to re-edit this one for a few reasons. The first is, I wasn't that great at filming and editing at the time, and that's still up for debate, but there were some sound issues and editing choices that made it hard to follow. And breaking it into 3 parts wasn't a great idea either. The second reason, it's still one of my most watched video series even 2 years later, and I don't think it's a great representation of my content. I think a lot of people never gave me a second chance after that series. The third reason is I use copyrighted music in that series, so I can't get any money on it. And if it's getting watched so often, at least I can get a few pennies off of it. And by the way, since I monetized my channel, I almost have enough money to buy a new set of guitar strings. Later in the video, I want to address some of the comments I received on the first series, but I want to get this one out of the way. I don't think I explained my use of glues very well in this, and some people thought I set the neck with either CA glue or 2-part epoxy. I only use CA and epoxy to reform the body. As you'll see, the body is completely shattered at the neck. And when I actually set the neck, I used hide glue, so it can be reset years from now with no problem. But by having the body solid with stronger adhesives, if that neck needs to come out again, it won't splinter out the body. Anyway, let's have a look. This is what I'm gathering is either a 66 or 69 SG Custom, but as you can see, it has a broken neck. We are going to repair that. I just need to look at the best way to do that. It appears that the tuners were at one point changed. Everything else looks original on it though. When we get into the pots, maybe I can get a date off of those to see what those are. I think I'm going to start stripping it down. And this case smells absolutely disgusting. It's take the worst mildew. I can't believe I even touched it. Take the worst mildew smell you've ever smelled and times it times 100. And that's what this case smells like. So it is not long for this world. I am going to send this out to the dumpster. No, maybe not. I do see it's missing a saddle. I don't know if the owner has that, or if it's just gone. We'll have to get a new one. I think there's supposed to be something there as well. The first thing to start doing is get it out of this case out of here. I'll start taking some parts off of it and see what we have to work with to get this back in there. I have a couple ideas. My first idea is to try to gently remove what is left of the splintered wood and glue it back in there as one piece, and then I can reset the neck. That is what I'm going to go for, but who knows if that happens. Oh, so let's go. We'll get that case out of here and zoom in here and take a closer look at this thing. Got this crazy whammy bar system. It is going to need a saddle. Don't know if anybody can tell from the knobs what year it is. It really looks like a mahogany body. It's got that very, very checked finish. You can look in, if you can see there in the light. Coming up on the neck, very, very flat frets. Coming up to the headstock. The decal doesn't look great on there. The age of the guitar, the feel of it, is the patina, and the smell is not something you can really fake. The back of the neck. The back of the neck is hammered. I don't know if this was leaned up against something for a very long time in lots of different positions. But it is just chipped to heck. It's relatively smooth though. I might be able to take a little bit of that out. There she is in detail. You want to start? You want to start there? Let's open that up and see what that looks like. let's see what is behind door number 1. I'll kind of get you on down in here to see what's going on. It is filthy, but everything looks really good, really clean. Let me see if I can clean these pots up a little bit. See if we can find a date on them, and that might give us a little better indication of what year this was. I mean, of course, everybody, you know, like somebody could have switched in, you know, more modern parts at any point. But that looks pretty original, pretty factory to me. Let's get them cleaned up, see what they look like. Okay, so the first way to identify the year of a Gibson is by the serial number, and of course the 6-digit serial number. And it's putting it between 66 or 69. Not between 66 and 69, 66 or 69. Also telling me it's being made in Kalamazoo. So to go a little farther, if we look down at these potentiometers, you will see that says 1376929. The 137 says that it was made by CTS. The 69 is 1969, and 29 is the 29th week of 1969. So all signs are pointing to this being a 69 SG Standard Custom. Or just a standard, I think, right? The third way to identify a Gibson, it's saying by their features. The witch hat knobs it has, which is telling me that this is 67 or later. Small versus large pick guard. You see the small and the large? We have a large pick guard. I'm safe to say that this is a 1969. I really want to get this pick guard off of here. I think that's a good place to start. The pick guard does have some cracking on the corners. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that before we put it back down. But changing out the pick guard, you could do that, but again, the patina on this thing is just great. I got to take the pick guard off anyway to get to this corner of the repair. Hopefully the next time you see this, it'll be a little bit more stripped down. We can get a better look at which way we're going to go with this neck repair. If I am going to be able to use some heat to get that off. I don't know if that was put in with an epoxy. I was told that it did get broken at one point in the past. I don't see how that was repaired. Maybe I'll get a little bit more in there. Or if that was the same spot it was broken. First plan of attack is to try to get all that old wood off of there intact, maybe with some heat on a putty knife. And then we'll see if that works. So, all right, let's start tearing her down. I would normally not clean a guitar until I'm like just about done working on it, but this thing stinks so bad. Every time I touch it, I have to go wash my hands. And here it is, all stripped down. That thing is absolutely filthy. I think I'm going to have to clean that off again. This might be the source of my mold smell. Well, the extreme mold smell, because it is everywhere. So, another wipe down. And we'll get to figuring out how to put this neck back together. Right, now that I got this stripped down, I can bring you in here a little closer and see what's going on. That's the crack at the body. And there's the neck. Everything seems to fit in really good. See how it matches up, and there's the neck, of course, needs a rake back there. I am missing some chunks here. I'm missing that big chunk there. And flip it over. And I'm also missing this chunk here. And that is, pretty beat up there. I don't know how much strength that's going to give, even if I CA glue wet that all together. And another thing I'm kind of noticing is down in the pocket, it's split pretty good here. Let's bring it in. There's a little bit of wood chipping here. I don't know if this was originally put in with hide glue, which is I'm told it had snapped before and it was repaired, but I don't know what was used there. I mean, but I think I really want to try to get that chunk off of there to rebuild the body. And you know, I have no problem. You know, most of this is under the pick guard anyway. You're not going to see it, but I have some scrap mahogany that I can you know, repair this area right here, right through there. But the back, I have an idea what I want to do. So that's what we got to figure out. I would really like to rebuild the whole neck pocket and then come back in and glue the neck in properly. And I also don't think that it was actually making good adhesion here at the bottom. I think there's a gap between the bottom of this neck and where the bottom of the pocket sits. But that's something I'll address at a later time once I get the body back together. So one of the first things I want to do is to try to get this wood off of here, this old piece. First step is going to be a little bit of heat. Maybe a little bit of heat on that blade. I protected the side of the fretboard there, the binding, and the edge that I really don't want to touch with the heat. But if I start melting that, then I'll know I'm going too far and I'll back off. I really don't want to. I want to try to do this as gently as possible. So round one didn't really do much. I tried heating up this putty knife. I could kind of get in there with that. I heated up this razor blade. Got that in there a little bit. I think that if the neck came out at a previous time, I don't know if somebody put them in with something harder than that. So my next option, just had a thought, because I have this heating pad for my back that gets very, very hot on the third setting. So I'm gonna just kind of let this neck heat up in there a little bit. Problem is, you know, I can't heat up that piece of wood with the heating gun, even on the low setting, without setting it afire. And I don't want to do that. Let's see if this works. If this doesn't work, I got a third option that I could try. If not, then the whole piece is going in as one there when I finally do set the neck. I don't want to do that because I want that whole neck pocket to be reformed before I start setting that neck in. I definitely want this whole piece in here to be, you know, nice and secure with some epoxy or CA glue, and then I can rebuild this area right in here that's missing. Yep, so that's where we're at. I'm gonna let that heat up, see how that does us. So the heating pad actually worked. I put this on there for just a little over 2 hours, wrapped it up with some towels around it too to try to keep the heat in, and I let it go for about 2 hours, and I was able to peel that right out of there. But one thing I am noticing though is I don't think the bottom of this was ever actually touching the bottom of this pocket. It doesn't look like the glue ever made an adhesion. So it looks like up to about here it made adhesion, and from here over to the other side in the exact spot, it wasn't sitting down there. In fact, I can put a dime between the bottom of this space and that. I really think that that whole neck should be sitting down in that pocket completely. So I might have to bulk that up a little bit to get that to sit in. So, moving on, I'm going to try to reform this neck pocket, and that is going to be our next couple steps. So with those pieces, I'm going to be using some CA glue. I'm going to start with these two chips into there, and then I'll flip it over and I'll get that big chunk in the front. Alright, a couple days later, I wanted to show you where we are with this. I was able to get those chips out, of course. I got them glued back in. This neck fits beautifully in here. If I can get it in. It's snug, but it's not too tight on the sides. I'm missing that chunk there. And also missing a big chunk here out of the back, as you can see. And that's all still pretty shattered right here. I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. I have this very expensive machine over here. Well, not too expensive, but it's a CNC router. I've used this before to get the eye holes that I made to fix the Gibson bass neck, Epiphone bass neck. So what I'm going to be doing here is, this is, a template I made just to see what it looked like. That's a copy of the crown from the headstock upside down. And I'm going to be milling that out probably... put you down for a second. I've probably got about 3 millimeters there, maybe a little more, maybe 4. I'm probably going to take out maybe about 2.5. I don't want to go all the way through that. I do need to. I'm going to be putting some epoxy in here into these voids that were left by the crack. But also, my second thing is the bottom of this neck wasn't actually touching from about here to about here. The whole bottom wasn't even touching the bottom of the neck pocket and worse. So, that it's very, very minimal, less than a millimeter. So I'm going to be trying to figure out a way to fill that in to help it from the back. There's also these 2 pegs in there. I don't know if this is how Gibson did it. One of them's missing, of course, but you can see the other one. I don't know if that was used to strengthen, but you can see the corresponding little holes there. I might do something sort of similar after we're done here, but I don't know. I also need to route this area out and replace that chunk, but I have some nice mahogany back there, scraps, that'll fit in there nice. And also, when I'm done with this, we'll do an inlay of some nice mahogany to go in there. I can just reverse the template on the machine, and it cuts the reverse thing. And we'll put that in, sand that up, and then this neck pocket should be very sturdy. I mean, the shattering right here of all this wood here shattered out, that's not going to really hold anything. And if I do an inlay there, if I put something thin in here, and then I can fill whatever gap I have in that with some epoxy, then I think this neck pocket will be super strong, and I can start thinking about resetting the neck in. So, yeah, I'm going to use some carbon paper and see exactly where that neck fits in there. That'll be my next step. So, as I suspected, the carbon paper test showed that I'm getting good contact here. I know I'm getting good contact up here, even though, as you can see, I don't have carbon paper up there. But, it's good there. We're good there. With that whole bottom pocket. So I went to Home Depot. I got this oak veneer edging. It's a, for doing the front of a piece of plywood or cabinets, cabinet edging or something. But oak is pretty strong, so they don't have mahogany, so that's what we're going to use. But as you can see, I just did a test with a couple pieces, and it took 2 of them to get it to touch. When I put that on the micrometer, that's 1.25 millimeter, but there's some adhesive that I want to get off of there, and then when I put my adhesive back on, it'll build up. Anyway, all right, getting off track. The edging here I bought has an adhesive itself in the back, which I don't want to use. I don't know what that's rated. I mean, I'm sure it's great for cabinets, so maybe it'd be strong enough, but I'm thinking I want a lot of epoxy on this neck because it's just so shattered and beat up. I think that's the only thing that's really going to hold it together in the long run. So just some testing. I used some Zippo lighter fluid and poured a little bit on there, and a razor blade, and I was able to scrape that on. I'm going to start with gluing one layer in here and kind of shaping that a little bit, and then I'm going to do we'll do the carbon to paper test after I get one layer in there. Let's see how that fits. I'll go for a second layer if I need to, and I can start thinking about that notch. Alright, so I got one layer in there. It looks pretty good. I got it CA glued in there. See, it kind of covers up that back too. Still is not passing the carbon paper test, so these are my next three. I'm going to overlap that middle seam with the large one and then the two on the edge, because I think the two on the edge I'm going to have to chisel down a little bit so that there's not a lip there. Worked really well. It's got a little bit of shaping to do, but it fits down there nice and snugly. Touches all sides. That's good. I'm going to do some 2-part epoxy. I'm going to run a bead along there, and I'm going to fill this in as well while I have it out. Most of it will be getting cut out when I put that inlay in there. Strengthen that as much as I can before I put it under the machine. So I poured some 2-part epoxy into there. Made a little dam. I didn't go all the way up with it, but you know, enough to fill that in. We're going to be doing that inlay in there. Ran a bead through there. Strengthen that up. I'm going to let that cure another day or two and then start carving it out. But you can see we put 1 millimeter of wood back in there in the bottom. So once that cures, I'm probably going to shave that down a little bit. Chisel that down to get the neck back in. Yeah, I think the next step is to route out this missing piece here and get that in there. So that'll be our next step. So using my finish router, I squared out that notch. Saved all my wood shavings just in case I might need to fill somewhere. And I have this piece of mahogany. This is some decking that came to me a while ago, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. I keep making stuff out of it. It is super solid, and I think it'll make a great fit in there. And I think the grain is even the same, and you won't even notice it. Alright, so hopefully this is a good spot for you to see this here. I might even take my dust shield off. But I'm going to start 1/4 millimeter. 0.25 millimeter. Just to make sure I am hitting it in the right spot that I want to hit it in. This is in here pretty solid. This stack of wood equals to the top of that. And that's how I would set the height on my bit going in. And I'm going to bring this right down until it touches that wood. I want to be able to just slide that wood before the bit catches it. See, that's a little too tight. The X-Carve here with easel allows you to adjust the height in smaller and smaller increments, so you get it just right there. And I think on this project I want to be a little high, because if it starts touching there and it's not in the right spot for whatever, I've done tons of math to make sure it's right in the right spot, but you never know, the inevitable could happen. So that's pretty loose. I'm going to start there. I'm going to say that's my home. Pour a stack out. I'm going to raise the bit. Turn our spindle on here. Yeah, that's looking nice. That was the scary part. That was the very, very scary part. But now that we're through with that, I am feeling a lot more comfortable. So next up, we will throw a piece of mahogany in, and we will carve out the reverse of that for our inlay. And while we're at it, that block for the front, we'll put that in there as well. So I wanted to show you the inlay here. Sitting high, but we're going to sand all that down. Graining's pretty good. It goes with it. Right up into that. This graining here on the body actually kind of curves off to the right. Boy, that's going to look good. It's in there. I can pull it out with my hands very easily. But look, it fills up that gap nice. This piece in here, that'll get glued in. So I sanded that down flush, or close to it. So I got it all clamped in there, glued in. Used some 2-part epoxy. Got all the edges. Once I had it in there, I rubbed in some of this, the shavings I had from doing the body. It should blend in pretty good when I do my final sand. So I'll glue that in there. We'll get our little block glued in there, and we should be pretty good. And then I can start shaping it and finally get that neck glued in. I cannot wait to play this thing. So I'm going to show you where I am now. I got that inlay in there. It's looking nice. The neck fits in really good. I mean, it's super tight. Not super tight, but you can take it out of there pretty easily. And here it is on the front. This guitar did not come with a bridge, so I'm waiting. I ordered a bridge, just a roller saddle to put in there so that I can glue the neck in straight. We'll put the bridge in, set that where it needs to be, run a string on the 2 E's, and I'll be able to make sure that it's, going straight that way. I think while I'm waiting for that bridge to come in, I'm going to start working on some of the other hardware. I got some chrome polish, and I'm going to start polishing some chrome, see how that goes on that. So while I'm waiting for the bridge to come in, I was going to take care of some of the small parts here. I have all this rusty hardware. I'm going to soak that in some vinegar and clean up this tray. I got chrome polish for this stuff. I'll probably start in there where you can't see it just to make sure that it's okay. Probably going to wash down the knobs and stuff, maybe some just mild soapy water. Chrome polish worked pretty good, so I'm going to continue to do the rest of them. Pickups too. And show you what that looks like afterwards. Oh, I can't wait to get this guitar together. So I got this bridge in here. Came in today. It's just a cheap Chinese bridge. There's a lot of pressure being pulled that way, but the strings are actually going to be pulling it from back here. And it's awful high. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it's supposed to be. You got that rake. I'm going to check and make sure that's around 3 degrees, I believe it is. But when I set it in there, it lines up pretty well. Just using some thread, because I don't really have a lot of extra guitar strings, but I mean, that's pretty straight. So if I cock it to the, let's see if I can come around here. Yeah, I do want to favor it more to the right as I'm setting it. But otherwise, that's pretty damn straight in there. And I really like the roller tops because There's a lot of friction there with those peaked ones that you normally get. If they want to put an original back in, they can. Easy enough to do on the next string change. So I think I'm ready to glue this in. Why not? Let's do it. And I'm not really sure which way to face these. I'm going to have to look at see how they did them on the old ones, because between the pickup and there really isn't a lot of room. It seems like I have more room on a real SG, but the pickups are lower. But, I mean, the angle's pretty extreme. But, you know, that can be adjusted. Again, maybe the bridges are supposed to be this high on that. There's a lot of rock in there. There she goes. After so many years, it is one. It's not a bad color match. I got another coat here. This is kind of a red, dark red mixed with a spot of black and a spot of brown. That seems to do pretty good. And then the second coat, I just go with the gloss red. That's not really a bad match. And as you can see, it's this one right here. That little block. So that's pretty good. So my plan is to do another coat of the gloss red here on the back, give it a little wet sand, blend it in, and then clear coat it. Just the areas that I've patched. And if they want to do something later on down the road, we can. But yeah, just trying to get it all to blend in, which is tough because you got brown on the neck and red on the body. So there's like a little spot in there that you gotta try to match. And I'm more favoring the body because that heel breaks up the brown. So really trying to go with more of the red of the body. But that inlay looks really nice in there. Nice and smooth. So another coat of red. We'll sand that out and get some clear. Alright, we are on to final assembly. I got this looking pretty good. I don't know if you can see that. I decided, it's not perfect. I didn't bring you into that, doing all that, because, I'm not really that good at it yet, finishing. I think I had to kind of decide. At first I was trying to match this transparent red here, but that was just impossible, because you got brown up on the neck. The neck doesn't look that great. So I just kind of did a fade using some enamel model paints to try to match the best I could. I think that'll do. I'm happy with it. I think the client will be happy with it. It'll be playable. It won't be two pieces in a box anymore.
Hey, it's me from the future. I wanted to look at a few comments I got over the almost 2 years since this series debuted. Let's see, the first. The CTS in the pot stands for Chicago Telephone Supply. And that was from King Poncho Nut. Thank you for that. Ditch the case. It's not designed for that guitar. Yep, it was not the correct case, and it did go to the dump. The owner has upgraded to a plush form-fitting case. The audio is awful in this. Skip it. Yep, I can't guarantee it's any better. Sorry about that. I tried, but, I had a really crappy camera. It was a Polaroid action cam. Oh, it was bad. How's this guitar doing now? Let's see. It's now treasured by the owner, and I'm told it doesn't even leave the house anymore, but it gets played on the reg. The owner decided to keep the finish as is, warts and all. It has strong sentimental value to him, and seeing it shattered for over 30 years just really bummed him out. It was the first guitar that he bought new. I don't know if I went over this in the video. He got it at Wurlitzer Music in Boston. He remembers his dad driving him into the city to get it. It was also 1970 or so when he got it. I have a picture of him playing it in the local high school music room in 1971. That's cool to see. But, I'm just stoked that I got to fix something he thought was done for, and I'm really proud of this fix. That inlay was the way to go. Anyway, this would be a great opportunity to leave me a like or subscribe. I have some cool projects upcoming. Thanks again.
Oh, it looks so good. Plays even better. I really would like to have a more stable bridge on there with, like, you know, the more modern posts. These are just posts that go straight down in there, like a machine screw, like right into the wood. There was a little buzz up here on the D and the G. They were just dug in a little bit on the nut. Probably have to do a nut replacement on this at some point in the near future. But I was able to fill them in with a little bit of super glue and shavings to make it plastic shavings to make it fill in a little more so it wasn't riding on the first fret. Other than that, it looks good. Plays great. This bridge I got on here, it came already like set up, you know, the little stair effect that you get, you know, and they were like almost right on when I put that on there. I only had to tweak them a little bit to get the intonation back, but boy, what a good looking guitar. So I'm not much of a player, more of a fixer. But yeah, we'll try to, maybe I'll set something up here at the end just so you can kind of hear it. And I have a really crappy amp too on top of that. So yeah. So I want to thank you for watching, bearing with me through this. And I apologize for my camera. It's a lot easier than having to use my phone to do this stuff, because I can just turn it on the fly and go. You know, because sometimes when I'm filming, I like to use my phone to research something, or if I get a call, and just popping the memory chip out of this into the computer is pretty easy too. So I'm rambling, and I'm going to let you all go, but hopefully we'll see this one again. You know, maybe get a better bridge and a nut on it at some point. Maybe even strip the whole thing down and repaint it. Who knows what they want to do with it, but thanks for watching.